Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Silver Fang, and today I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about Kiritsugu Emiya and kind of have a discussion about who he was as a person and why he was how he was, and kind of talk about why couldn't he achieve his goals. That's the big part of this discussion. So I just have a few thoughts that I don't think people uh, view them the same way I view them. So I just want to put it out there. I want this to be like a nice conversation in the comments down below, and you can tell me whether you believe what I'm saying or not. And I'm not even gonna try to. I'm not gonna do any clever editing to this video or anything of the sort. I want my thoughts to come out exactly how I'm thinking them. So Kiritsugu Emiya. This man was a very impressive mage, and but he had this ideal or this goal. When we first see him in Fate Zero, he has the goal of saving the world, right? Or saving everybody in the world. And he kind of inherently passed that goal down to Shiro without meaning to, because the goal that Shiro has to save everybody in the world is the same goal that Kiritsugu had, and that's the goal that at the end of Fate Zero he learned was impossible. But why was his goal impossible? Why was his goal so unobtainable? Well, and this is where it gets interesting. I believe it's because his goal was selfish. He had a selfish goal. And you could say, well, how is it selfish to want to save everybody in the world? How is that selfish? I would think that that's selfless, right? Well, no, because this is the thing. There's a very famous saying out there that with great power comes great responsibility. And that's not just a Spider-Man saying. It's something that the Spider-Man series made famous for sure, but that saying is very true. With great power comes great responsibility, and Kiritsugu was a great mage. He was, and he was very well trained from a young age, so he had the power. And with those powers, what he chose to do with those powers was save people, right? So he chose to save people. So as he told Shiro, when you choose to save one person, you inherently cannot save another. Now, this man had the grail in his hand, and yet he couldn't save the world. Now, there's a lot of speculation there saying, oh, the grail doesn't actually grant any wishes. I've seen that in the comments all the time. The grail doesn't actually grant any wishes. But the grail does grant wishes. It's just that you need to be able to accomplish, you need to have a vision of how that goal is going to be met. It's not like uh, a wish from a genie in the bottle where you can say, I wish cats were raining from the sky, and the genie will immediately make it happen. No, in your mind, you need to have a step-by-step process of how you will make cats rain from the skies. And what the grail does is just complete those steps for you in an instant. But you still need to have a way to do that. You still need to have a way to do the final goal on its own. And what the grail does is that you have a way in your mind on how to accomplish the goal. And if that would have taken you 50 years to accomplish, let's put a realistic goal, for example. Let's say my goal in life is to get a Ferrari, for example. That's a very fair example. Well, there's a few steps that comes to that. Let's say if I want to finance it, I have to build my credit. I have to work. I have to have a very good payment history. I have need to have previous cars in the past because you cannot maintain a Ferrari if you never drove in a car before. So I need to get my driver's license. I need to do all these things, right? These steps take years to accomplish. But what the Grail does is like, okay, so I'm gonna give you a driver's license. I'm gonna put your credit on. I'm gonna do this, and the Grail accomplishes those steps, so you can have the end result immediately. So when Kiritsugu had the Grail in his hand, he couldn't find of a way to save the world. And why is that? Because his goal was selfish. How was his goal selfish? Well, as we said before, Kiritsugu, he had the power to save people. That's what he chose to do with the power that he was given. He chose to save people. And again, as he told Shiro, when you choose to save one person, you inherently cannot choose not to save another. So the reason why his goal was selfish is because he wanted to stop to having to make the choice to not save someone else. He wanted to stop having to make that choice over and over again. So his choice wasn't for the people. His choice wasn't for the world. His dream wasn't for the world. His dream was for himself. He wanted to stop having to make that choice. So he wanted to stop saving people. He wanted to stop having to make the choice to save someone else and sacrifice other people in the process. That's where somebody like Thanos is a much better villain. You can kind of say Kiritsugu was a villain or maybe not. It depends, because in Fate Zero he was kind of portrayed as a hero, and his choices were definitely heroic for sure, but he's done things, for the greater good for sure, but he's done things that other people would consider villainous, even though they were for the right reasons. But he has done things, right? So you can consider Kiritsugu an anti-hero, maybe. That's maybe a better fair term for him. But he has chosen to do things. That's where somebody like Thanos comes in. I don't think Kiritsugu was committed enough. Because when you think about it, like Kiritsugu's goal and Thanos' goals were very different. But I mean, were very similar. I don't know if you've seen the Avengers trilogy. This is more of an anime channel, but a lot of you probably have, right? So Thanos was somebody that was committed to saving not just the world, but the universe, right? He was committed and he was willing to do anything and everything that needed to happen, right? So the Infinity Gauntlet is kind of like the Grail. The Infinity Gauntlet is kind of like the Grail. Think about it. For example, Thanos' goal was to save the universe. The way he chose to save the universe was by eliminating half of the population of the universe. Every species, every life form, every single thing in the universe, he'll cut it in half, right? That way there's more resources for everyone that stays alive. Now, he actively did this. And I don't consider Thanos to be a villain. Sure, he's a murderous son of a bitch, but I don't consider him to be a villain in the sense that he had a selfish goal. If anything, his goal was selfless, because in the process of achieving his goal, he had to suffer the complete annihilation of the population of his own planet. He had to kill his daughter. He had to forsake another daughter. And at the end, when he finally accomplished his goal, he was pretty much crippled. And he even obtained unlimited power. And once he completed his goal, he destroyed his unlimited power to make sure that his goal was never rewritten. So at first he had a goal, selfless goal. He had to sacrifice a whole bunch of things in the process. And when he finally achieved the goal, and when he finally obtained the power to achieve the goal, he destroyed that unlimited power. So Thanos was selfless. I'm not saying that because he was selfless, his way of doing things were right, but he was selfless. But maybe the way he chose to do things aren't right. But unlike Kiritsugu, he was way more committed. And unlike Kiritsugu, his choice, his way, his goal, his way of achieving his goal was selfless. He did nothing for himself. At the end of the day, he had nothing. He had no one. He didn't even have full use of his own body. He had nothing. Unlike Kiritsugu, what Kiritsugu wanted to do was have everything. What do I mean by have everything? He wanted to stop using his powers. He wanted to stop saving people. He wanted to stop having to make the choice. Thanos actively made his choice. For example, he will go to random planets or planets that cross his path and actively destroy half of the population of said planet. Now, the Infinity Gauntlet is a lot like the Grail, where when you have the Infinity Gauntlet, you can pretty much do anything you want, right? Within that universe, you can pretty much do anything you want, but you still need to have a way. And Thanos, his way was sacrificing half of the population of the whole planet. Not the whole planet, the whole universe. But that's the way he chose. But at the end, his goal was to save the universe. Maybe that wasn't the right way to do it. Maybe it wasn't the ethical way. But it was his answer. Kiritsugu's goal was so selfish that even when he had unlimited power, he couldn't get an answer. He couldn't come up with an answer. Kiritsugu actively had the choice because this was the vision that he was given. Kiritsugu was given Thanos' vision. He was pretty much showed Thanos' plan, right? When he grabbed the Grail, he was showed a vision and given examples. And in each example, he had to save half the population of the planet and then cut it in half again. Now, if he was committed to his goal of saving the universe, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm saying that if he actually was committed to his goal and was selfless, he would have taken the responsibility of killing half the universe and saving the rest. But he was selfish. He didn't want that responsibility on himself. He didn't want that guilt on himself. Unlike Thanos. Because Thanos, after he completed his goal, if the Avengers hadn't killed him, after he completed his goal, he would have had to live for the rest of his life as the one that killed everyone, hated. He had to live with the guilt of killing all those people, and not just random people. He had to kill his own daughter to accomplish this goal, and he had to live with that. And he was selfless enough to do that. He will probably have to live disabled for the rest of his life, because when he destroyed the gauntlet pretty much destroyed half of his body. So he will have to be disabled for the rest of his life, hated by everyone, and had to live with the guilt of killing trillions and trillions and trillions of people and animals, had to live with the guilt of killing his own daughter and forsaking another one, and losing everyone and everything he ever loved. While Kiritsugu, he wasn't selfless enough to make the choice. He didn't want that responsibility on himself. He didn't want it. He couldn't handle it. The whole point of his goal was to stop using his power, to stop having to make the choice to save someone, and in the process forsake somebody else. He didn't want to make that choice anymore. He didn't want it. And what happened was that in the end, he still, what actually broke Kiritsugu was that even though he chose to do nothing, he chose to do nothing. He chose not to use the grail, and in the end, the grail still sacrificed. I don't know how many people died in the fire, but he still had to sacrifice, let's say, a couple thousand people. And the sacrifice of a couple thousand people broke him. He was never the same again. He lost his fight. He couldn't fight anymore just from sacrificing a couple thousand people. And it's because he realized that he could never achieve his goal if he wasn't willing to commit. And he wasn't. He wasn't willing to commit. He wasn't willing. Someone like Thanos, he was committed. I'm not saying that the way that he chose to do things was the right way, but he was committed. And if you see the aftermath of what Thanos did, sure, the people in the universe at the moment, sure, everybody lost someone. At least mostly everybody lost someone, and everybody was depressed. But think about it in the long run, right? Let's say 100 years from now, when the current generation is dead, the children that are born from there on out will have a way better lifestyle, way more opportunities, way more of everything than what we have now. Even 5 years went by, and 5 years went by in the Marvel universe, and we could see the environmental change. There's a scene where Captain America goes to talk to Black Widow, and he tells her that there's that he saw a couple of whales down by the harbor. That's something that you will never see due to pollution. But there was so much resources now, because half of the people, half of the animals, half of the everything was gone. So there's so much more resources now. And the world was actively heading in a positive direction, I guess. You can kind of say a couple hundred years in the future, they probably would have had a much better world. Now, the people in the moment, sure, they were sad, they were depressed. Everybody was sad, depressed, but that's because they're the ones that lost somebody. But a couple hundred, 200, 300, 400 years from that moment, the world would have been a lot better, which was Thanos' vision, right? But he was selfless and committed. Kiritsugu was committed, but his goal was selfish. He was willing to do anything and everything when he thought he had an out. Once he figured out, no, buddy, there's no out. You're going to have to commit to this. If you want it, you're going to have to commit to this. He couldn't do it. And it broke him. He couldn't do it, and it broke him. But that's pretty much it, guys. Tell me what you think about this conversation. I thought it was pretty interesting. I just found out that actually how this video came about is that Kiritsugu is actually a very popular character. He is. In the Fate world, he's very popular. I didn't know that. I made a poll on my Instagram, and I was surprised to realize how popular Kiritsugu was. I liked him a lot in Fate Zero, but I didn't realize that people actually liked him that much. And he's very popular. I didn't know that. But that's why I chose to make this video. Those are my thoughts on Kiritsugu. And please let me know what you think in the comment section below. This was supposed to be a conversation between the guys. Please try not to be rude. If you don't agree with me or whatever, just tell me why. But yeah, please comment down below your thoughts. Do you think he should have committed? What you think his wish should have been? Let me know what you think. That's the whole point of this. As I said, I'm not even going to do any clever editing on this video or anything. Everything you see is exactly how I think it. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And as I always say, have an awesome day. Catch you guys in the next one.